Emperor Nero is undoubtedly one of the most controversial and debated figures in Roman history. While some historians argue that his reputation as the most evil man in Roman history is unfair and exaggerated, others point to his reign as a time marked by widespread violence, cruelty, and corruption. There are several key factors that contributed to Nero's reputation as a despised emperor, including his lack of experience and competence, his persecution of Christians, and the political instability and conspiracy that marked his reign. One of the key factors that contributed to Nero's reign being marked by cruelty and corruption was his lack of experience and competence. Nero was just 16 years old when he became emperor, and he had little practical experience in governance or administration. He was heavily influenced by his mother, Agrippina, who was a powerful and ambitious figure in her own right. And many historians believe that she played a major role in shaping his policies and decisions. Nero's lack of experience and competence was evident in his response to the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. While the fire was still raging, Nero reportedly played his lyre on a rooftop and sang songs about the burning of Troy. This callous disregard for the suffering of the Roman people earned him widespread condemnation and led to accusations that he had started the fire himself in order to clear space for his new palace, the Domus Aurea. Another factor that contributed to Nero's reputation as an evil man was his persecution of Christians. Christianity was a relatively new and growing religion in the Roman Empire, and many Romans saw it as a threat to traditional Roman values and customs. Nero was particularly hostile to Christianity, and he launched a brutal crackdown on the early Christian church, which he saw as a threat to his authority. Nero's persecution of Christians was marked by widespread violence and cruelty. He had Christians arrested, tortured, and executed in public spectacles, often using them as human torches to light his garden parties. The brutality of Nero's persecution of Christians was so extreme that it earned him the nickname, the Beast, among his contemporaries. Another factor that contributed to Nero's reputation as an evil man was the political instability and conspiracy that marked his reign. Nero faced opposition from the Senate and the aristocracy, who resented his youth and inexperience, and from the Praetorian Guard, who saw him as a puppet of his mother. He was also the subject of several assassination plots, including a major conspiracy led by the governor of Spain, Galba, in 68 AD. Nero responded to these threats with increasing paranoia and cruelty. He executed several prominent members of the Senate, including his former mentor, the philosopher Seneca, and he launched a brutal crackdown on political opponents and religious minorities. Nero's reign was marked by violence and instability, and his paranoia and cruelty only served to exacerbate these problems. During his reign, Emperor Nero was known for his outrageous and scandalous behavior. One of the most notorious aspects of his lifestyle was his penchant for hosting extravagant orgies that lasted for days on end at his massive palace, Domus Aurea, in Rome. At these events, guests indulged in excessive eating and sexual activity until they were exhausted. In addition to these wild parties, Nero had a disturbing fetish that involved tying naked girls and boys to stakes and pretending to attack them dressed as a wild animal. Nero's sexual exploits extended beyond his orgies and fetish. He forcibly took the wives of Roman senators as his mistresses and even had sex with a Vestal Virgin, which was punishable by death. However, as emperor, he was above the law and faced no consequences for his actions. Nero's behavior was so scandalous that he even played the role of a bride at his marriage to freedman Pythagoras, complete with a bridal veil and consummation in front of guests. Perhaps the most shocking aspect of Nero's personal life was his relationship with his mother, Agrippina the Younger. Agrippina was a powerful and ruthless figure who had helped Nero ascend to the throne by poisoning his predecessor, Emperor Claudius. To solidify her control over Nero, Agrippina seduced and had sexual relations with her own son. At least that was the rumor. Nero eventually realized the threat his mother posed to his reign and attempted to kill her in a staged boat-sinking incident. When this failed, he had her executed in broad daylight by his own executioners. Another important aspect of Nero's reign was his policies towards the provinces and foreign policy. Nero inherited a large and complex empire, and he faced several challenges in maintaining control over the various provinces and territories under Roman rule. One of Nero's most notable foreign policy actions was his decision to invade and conquer the kingdom of Armenia. This was a significant achievement for Nero, as it gave Rome control over an important strategic region in the Middle East. However, Nero's handling of the situation was marked by violence and instability, and he faced significant opposition from the Parthians, who saw the Roman invasion as a threat to their own interests. Nero's policies towards the provinces were also controversial, with many accusing him of neglecting their needs and interests in favor of his own personal projects and ambitions. He was criticized for his extravagant spending on building projects and cultural patronage, which some saw as a waste of resources that could have been better spent on improving the lives of ordinary people. Nero's reign also marked the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, which had been in power since the reign of Augustus. His death in 68 AD marked the beginning of a period of instability and political turmoil in the Roman Empire, which would ultimately lead to the rise of the Flavian dynasty under Vespasian. In conclusion, Emperor Nero's reign was marked by controversy, violence, and instability. While some historians argue that his reputation as the most evil man in Roman history is unfair and exaggerated, there is no denying that his policies and actions were marked by cruelty, corruption, and paranoia. Nero's lack of experience and competence, his persecution of Christians, and the political instability and conspiracy that marked his reign all contributed to his reputation as a despised emperor. However, his personal life and policies towards the provinces and foreign policy were also significant factors that shaped his legacy.